I've said to you that this is not one for you and I to handle in a television studio. This is one that's in court.
Okay. We handle these allegations seriously, regardless of the political party. And these are not media allegations, as you said. They're court documents. Congressman Miller claimed it was a media construct.
In court, which is where it belongs.
I got it. You don't want to comment. I understand. In terms of your portfolio on armed services, I do want to ask you about what has happened within the past few days. Russia fired a barrage of ballistic missiles at Kyiv. Only one of them was intercepted. President Zelensky said that's because there are no interceptors left. I know you've asked the president to allow for him to be able to produce Patriots. We had thought there was a breakthrough. However, President Trump seemed to backtrack on that Friday. He said, quote, "We're talking about it, but it's a hard thing to do, to give away that kind of technology." Is it on track or is it not? Are we letting Ukraine license Patriot interceptor production?
Right. Well, the actual quote that he said, he was talking in that paragraph, he was talking about Tomahawks and Patriots. They also went on to say that the negotiations were ongoing. It is very, very difficult on Patriots, which are defensive. In the quote, actually, it included Tomahawks, which are also offensive. I do think that there are ongoing negotiations concerning providing a broader opportunity for Ukraine to have access to Patriot technology, to be able to have production and defensive technology. This is going to be very important both for allies and for Ukraine. This technology, because it has become so central around the world, missile technology is proliferating, so defensive technology needs to proliferate. We have the most advanced technology, and there is high demand for it. And the president stepping up and saying that we need to look to being able to license this technology is really going to be important both for Ukraine, our allies, and really, I think, for the United States.
But you think it's still in process?
I think it's still in process, and I think it's incredibly important, and I encourage the president.
I think it's a day late and a dollar short. The genie's already out of the bottle pertaining to how people can make these sophisticated, highly advanced missiles.
Missiles into Ukraine and hitting defenseless civilians, not military targets, but defenseless civilians. There was outcry because a missile landed in a field in Poland.
Yes.
But every night there are missiles that land on people and kill them in Ukraine. We need to help them.
Yes, understood. And NATO did call out those instances. We have to leave it there. Congressman Turner, we'll be right back.
It's really sad that they talk about peace and some sort of resolution to all this killing and stuff going on, but yet no, only thing I can see is murder on top of more murder, on top of killings, on top of more disturbances, on top of less solutions to our American problems, much less the world's problems. And I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I'm in a different warp, a different time zone. But to me, we're all heading in the wrong direction towards true agape peace that it talks about in the Bible that will occur of the opening of the first seal before the second seal in the book of Revelations can ever be opened. I've said this now 1,000 different times. You cannot take something from something if it's not there to take. Just can't do it.
The Trump administration's latest beautification project in Washington, the statues that greet people entering D.C. as they cross the Memorial Bridge over the Potomac have been re-gilded bright gold from their previous bronze.
You see, I think, this is just me thinking, I think the bigwigs, whenever I say the bigwigs, I'm talking about the smartest of the smart, the sophisticated people that claim to be sophisticated, the powerfulest of the powerful, like the Elon Musk is on down, basically the tip, the summit of the pyramid, knows that they have made an absolute mess out of all this. When it comes to standing in behind true, authentic, biblical Bible prophecy. And the reason why that I think this, and I think anybody else would think the same, is that as much material that I put out on social media and get back basically zero response, why would I not think that? Why would I not think that my words are going out futile, the same as it would be if I was speaking to a tree? I'm not seeing no grand movement, either through the political realms or the spiritual realms, of what should be going on right now pertaining to it was as the noise of thunder.
Are deployed to the Mideast for a war with Iran, a war the American public was told would last 4 to 5 weeks when it began at the end of February. American diplomats in the region are also in limbo. They're not the only ones struggling to obtain clear information about the war and its goals. America's far-flung conflicts in Vietnam.
We're going into what the first Cav calls a hot LZ.
Afghanistan, and both wars in Iraq were beamed home by reporters embedded with ground troops.
They're returning fire with heavy machine guns, and that mortar round you just heard went off. Hoorah!
Ever since 1988, these are the battles that's been fought or are fighting.
Strikes, there is no such reporting. Government-produced social media videos are our only snapshot of what is happening. There is no free press in Iran. And after that deadly school bombing, the U.S. government restricted commercial satellite imagery from being made public. Last fall, the Pentagon barred military commanders from talking to Congress without prior approval. There is no longer a traditional Pentagon press corps since Secretary Hegseth put reporting restrictions on them.
To the American media, as I just can't help but notice the endless stream of garbage.
He has not held a press briefing since May 5th. Past administrations gave regular, though at times factually flawed, briefings.
We also know that they have a very active weapon of mass destruction program.
Today, Americans are getting snippets of the president's thinking, but few details.
We are the party of transparency, and we believe in transparency.
The public first learned of the surprise U.S.-Israeli strike on Iran from an 8-minute-long video posted at 3 a.m. on social media.
The United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation.
Trump estimated combat would last 4 to 5 weeks. 7 days in, he declared victory.
We're winning the war by a lot. We decimated their whole evil empire.
4 weeks later, he gave the first and so far only primetime address about Iran.
I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly.
Days later, he launched diplomatic talks.
The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement.
And it should be ending pretty soon. It was perfect.
And declared a ceasefire.
We'll see whether or not they can make a deal that's satisfactory to us. We have it very much under control.
Trump said he feared the energy crisis would trigger a depression.
We run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see bedlam?
With peace and a decisive military victory elusive, he declared a truce.
We're winning militarily. It's almost won militarily, I would say.
And now America has returned to the war we were told we had won.
They've got no Navy, they got no Air Force. Most people would have given up, they haven't. So I give them credit for that. I mean, they're known as being tough. They're tough.
The lack of information sharing is frustrating Congress. Republican Senator John Kennedy.
I would put Rubio and Kaine and Radcliffe and Hedgeth out there, either in a speech or in a long press conference, to explain what's going on in Iran, why we went in, why we're still there.
You deny me that information, and I'm going to be frustrated.
Senator Bill Cassidy told us it took a yelling match with the president himself to pry out any information.
I need to know to serve my people in my state and my country. As it turns out, I got a briefing afterwards.
The Pentagon touts its highly produced video posts as direct-to-consumer updates. But the American public has lost faith. 63% of Americans tell CBS that the conflict is not going well. 67% say end it now. And 69% say they are not getting a clear understanding of what's happening on a day-to-day basis.
Neither nor am I.
Perhaps informing the American people of what their government is doing in their name might change that.
And you would think that pertaining to the taxpayers basically fitting the bill for all this, and we're not standing up to these bad decisions that are being made by these obvious lunatics that don't know, I hate to use the word, their asses from their hole in the ground. And once more, whenever I don't see a movement that should have a long time expanded itself pertaining to the faith movement through the Jesus Christ Jubilees Windmill Ministries missions, I'm at the point of believing that, you know what, maybe this is what they want. They want chaos. They want to continue to keep tampering around with the oil reserves and seeing our oceans boiling and seeing Lake Mead and the Colorado River and all these other places all over the world basically drying up. I seen the other day where the River of Jordan was now drying up. We are bringing this upon to ourselves, and we're either too stupid, too cowardly, or just don't care to want to stop it.
And by Clem DeLay. He is CEO of AI platform Hugging Face, whose company detailed one of the attacks last week. Clem, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, your company disclosed it was attacked earlier this month by an autonomous AI cyber actor, which jumped on its own from another company's testing system to hack into your company. OpenAI later disclosed it was their technology that went rogue. They lost control of it. Tell me, why did your company alert the public and alert the FBI?
They lost control of AI. AI is taking on a form of life on its own.
Unprecedented to us, right? Because I think it's the first instance of something quite autonomous doing something like that. So the volume of the actions taken and the speed of them, I think it was 17,000 actions taken in 4.5 days. Was very new. Obviously, the attacker, when we talk about cyber attack, we think about nation states, we think about hacker groups. We don't think about a company like OpenAI, right? A very prominent, popular American company. And then the way we responded using an open model, so using AI ourselves to defend ourselves against that was also pretty new and pretty newsworthy in our opinion.
Mm-hmm. You defended yourselves. You found the solution yourselves. But you went to the FBI. I think for a lot of people, when they think of someone committing a crime, they think of a human. They don't think of a program, a computer program, as something you can prosecute as committing a crime. What is the FBI doing?
Well, I mean, we reported to the authorities as we have to in such instances, right? It's kind of like a mandatory disclosure, both with the authorities and the public, when you face something like that. Which is basically what we did. Now, when we think about the future, right, now we've heard that it's not only OpenAI, but also Anthropic that has faced similar kind of like issues. I think it's really important that we keep in mind that cyber attacks need to be contained in the legal framework in the US and need to stay illegal. To prevent an explosion of them in the future, right? Like we don't want to end up in a world where everyone is facing cyber attacks all the time because of agents, and companies that are creating these agents are not kind of like accountable for them. So I think it's important for regulators, for policymakers to think about the legal framework of this new kind of technology risk.
You described more than 17,000 hacking actions on the internet before this was even discovered by your company. That sounds like the developers have lost control. Have they?
Well, you have to remember it's a technology system, but built by engineers, and engineers can make mistakes sometimes, and I think that's what happens here. That's what happened here. We already in our society accept some level of autonomy, and I think they built kind of like an autonomous system and made some mistakes, and as a result, we're facing this issue.
So you said you think there should be some legal parameters put around this. The Trump administration has taken a very light touch in regulation because they want to keep America competitive in this space. They have this policy where they can review technology for 30 days to judge basically how dangerous something is before a company releases it to market. But as I understand what you described, this attack happened before technology was at market. It happened during the development stage. It was unreleased. So what you're saying, I think, is there is no regulation at this point that would prevent something like this from happening again.
Yeah, that's a really clear example that just kind of like preventing releases of AI models doesn't really work. Concentrating everything behind closed doors in just a few organizations doesn't work. One thing that does work, that worked in this case, is kind of like promoting more open models, right? Because we defended ourselves with an open model, right? Like we couldn't have done it with an API because they had these guardrails that's preventing activity for cybersecurity. And we needed to run a model on our own infrastructure. So we needed an open model.
When you say open model, just for our audience, as I understand it, it's an AI model whose core components are publicly released, so anyone can download it. It's not closed off like a company can do to their proprietary information. So you want more of this essentially out there and accessible to the public.
Yeah, because there's the only way for defenders to defend themselves on topics like that. They remove the asymmetry of power and capabilities, right? In these kinds of risks, if you have very powerful systems and very weak systems that are defending, then that's when you have the right problem. But if you balance, if you make it more kind of like symmetric in terms of attackers and defenders, that's usually when you end up in a safer world. And I actually do think that we're talking a lot about the risks for cybersecurity right now, but AI is actually an opportunity to fix a lot of the cybersecurity problems. We're defending ourselves with AI. We're going to use AI to fix a lot of our bugs. So hopefully AI is going to make the world safer ultimately thanks to that.
And you used a Chinese AI model to defend yourselves. There's a lot of concern about inviting China into this space.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that we used the American version of a Chinese model. We used the version from NVIDIA that kind of like made a Chinese model better. So that's the beauty of kind of like open models. Once they're shared, wherever they come from China or from anywhere, American companies can modify them, remix them, host them, run them themselves. So that's one of the things that actually make them safe wherever they come from.
So I want to ask you about a specific piece of legislation, and I will say up front, there isn't a lot of work that's getting done in Congress right now. But there is this bipartisan bill that would give Homeland Security the authority to order AI firms to shut down or to slow down their artificial intelligence models if they're too dangerous. It's called the Kill Switch bill. Is that something you want?
Well, I mean, I think something we're realizing with these events is that concentrating power capabilities behind closed doors, even preventing their releases to the public, isn't really a solution. Like these problems happened on unreleased models. So I think the problem is not so much kind of like limiting the progress or kind of like preventing companies from releasing these models. It's actually the opposite. It's giving access to more people so that they can defend themselves, democratizing the technology, making it more transparent.
Clem, thank you so much for explaining all this to the public. We appreciate your time today. We'll be back in a moment.
What it amounts to is that they have created something that is basically getting out of control. And I'm going to use this for an illustration. if a manufacturer puts out on the market, let's say baby carriers, and there's something entirely wrong with the baby carrier to the point that they have to do a recall on those baby carriers pertaining to safety issues, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They do a recall. Same way with automobiles. Same way with appliances that goes in your kitchen. Again and again, this is based upon accountability that surrounds safety issues for the general public. What our professional people are not doing, and I agree that they should have a kill switch on it pertaining to the kill law, but what I'm seeing is basically they have released something out into society that now is out of control, basically has a brain to run itself. Besides that, they turned the law in not too long ago over in Australia for any child under 16 cannot be operating a cell phone, and they're saying now that was just what's been doing nothing because the teenage society is still obtaining that type of knowledge using those same type of instruments.
Attempts to break through the two-party system just haven't really panned out. So what do you think is going to happen with that 47% now?
Well, everyone depends on the independents to get elected now. That's all you hear. All the polls are taken.
To swing one way or the other.
This is, in the last presidential election, it came down to 7 battleground states. That means 43 were predetermined. 435 congressional seats, 395 are predetermined. There's no competition whatsoever in the system because the strength of the two-party system, the Democrat and Republican, prevents that from happening. They have total control of how the primaries are put up. And when I said this, if you look at the last election, of all the primaries across the country, only about 21% of the people showed up. 21%, the lowest ever. So they're controlling it. And guess what? MAGA's taken over the Republican, and now you have the DSA seems to be having a lot of energy on the Democrat side. What happened to the people that live their lives in the middle, that make decisions, that make things work in America?
Being ignored.
Nobody speaking for them.
Well, do you think they stay home?
They
90 days?
I think they do give up. They just said this doesn't matter because the parties have control.
Right, they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway.
There's no openness at all. If you're an independent, try to get on the ballot. They make you jump through every hoop in the world and go out and get thousands of signatures.
Right.
Where if you're a Democrat or Republican, you want to run, you pay a fee. You pay a fee, just get on the ballot. That's it.
That's
But they
it.
make it almost impossible for anyone else to compete against them.
You know who says it's a rigged system? Bernie Sanders. He's an independent.
Bernie's a socialist now, and I respect Bernie. I respect where he's coming from. Bernie's always been who he is, but he's had to use the Democratic Party to get on the ticket.
Yes.
He took that path. We're saying, be an independent, be a pure independent, run as an independent, come to Washington, do not caucus with either side, be an independent, and I'll guarantee you, maybe you're going to make a difference of how they make their decisions, because they're going to need you. They need you to get elected. They're going to need you also to make law.
Heather, is there anyone in Congress right now who you think is truly an independent? Because there are only 3 with an I next to their name.
No, and as Dad pointed out, they're caucusing with one side or the other. So, I think we have seen, and I just in stories today, that the parties have literally sucked out any independent thinking, any political courage. And so, unfortunately,
They've cornered the market, a monopoly.
All of that gives an opportunity to
monopolized.
say, can we get someone elected outside the two-party system and go to Congress and stay independent? That really to have that independent thinking and bring some negotiation conversation to the bills that unfortunately it's a party line vote. It doesn't matter what could be negotiated to get anything done. It's a stalemate and everyone picking a side.
So for you to back a certain candidate, you are not requiring any kind of policy platform. You would support anyone.
Right. Well,
if they show independence?
We actually put a Declaration of Independence together that asked for 3 things. That you're for opening competition, opening primaries, things that would restore competition to the system, not the gerrymandering of districts and so forth. To be for solutions, that you want to work with anyone. You want to take good ideas from both sides of the aisle and make something happen and get done. And the last one is accountability. That you'll explain your vote. Just simply explain your vote when you take it and why you took it. And we think that's pretty low table stakes.
Well, I'll just say one thing. There's only one pure independent that basically ran as an independent, governed as an independent as governor, and that's Angus King.
Yeah.
But there's no support. When Angus comes there, you know, he has to pick, well, he picked the Democrat side because there was more things that he believed in that would be good for Maine. So we worked together. But Angus, you know, if he had a little bit more support, I'm telling you, he's as independent as it becomes. You can work with him on any issue. We just found that there's no structured support for somebody just remaining independent. Can you imagine if they don't caucus with either one? What's going to happen?
They wouldn't get any committee positions.
Is the committee doing anything anyway? No.
You liked your committee position.
I like
You
my
had them,
committee
Senator.
position, but the
Allowed you to do it a lot for West Virginia.
yeah, but the bottom line is that bills didn't come to the floor. We passed things in a bipartisan way.
There you go.
It was always controlled by the majority leader.
There you go.
But they're going to have to vote. They can't deny them the vote. And I'll guarantee you, they can go to any committee meeting they want to. And there's going to be times when they say, boy, if you would just caucus with us today, we'd get this passed or that.
Right.
They can moderate an awful lot. We think it's a way to start bringing the parties. I believe the Republican Party wants to be the grand old party again, and I believe GOP, but I believe the Democrats would like to be responsible. They've got nowhere to go, and they've been pulled to the left and the right. Something's got to change. They open the primaries up. Let's have competition. But now what we can do is get a couple people elected that can sit there and say, listen, this doesn't make any sense at all. It's not the oath I took to defend and protect the Constitution. It doesn't make sense for my country, and it's not a way to get things done for my state. We give them the support once they get there, and we'll change things.
Heather, could you ever support a self-described socialist candidate?
No.
No way. My
No.
God, no.
And
Even
it
if they have some
surprises
good ideas?
and
The
it's-
good, I support the good ideas, but how could you support some of the crazy stuff they're for? Have you seen their platform? They're for dismantling everything that we know, whether it be the structure of government, Congress itself, or the Senate they want to get rid of, and then they start talking about all the crazy things. No police, no this, no this, no that. Are you crazy? We want a crime-free area. We have to have police for that.
Yeah.
We want a strong defense. We want a strong border. But if Democrats can't say that, and they start lining up with the socialist demands of what you are to be a socialist, energy will be gone. There'll be no energy, okay? We have right now a tremendous amount of energy we're producing, and the world depends more on us than ever before.
But
We
doesn't
can
it,
do more.
I'm sorry, doesn't it surprise you that even leadership in the Democrat Party can't just say no? They can't say no? That
Well, they're
is-
seeing an appeal, apparently.
but it
And
shows
appeal
you
to the
that,
far left.
but control has now completely outweighed character. If you're more interested in control, and that's all that it matters, your vote count versus the character of the person and what the platform they're running on, I think we're living with the consequences of that.
Margaret, the Democrat Party has lost more registration, more people identifying as Democrats than ever before. So if that was going to be the case, what would be right now you have high polls, right?
Yeah.
Democrats should be 20, 30 points ahead if that's where the country's going. They're not, they're still behind. The bottom line is we're not getting anything accomplished because the two-party system has drowned out everything. They had just choked it out.
Stalemate.
Well, when you were talking about why you did not run in 2024 for president, you said you didn't want to be a spoiler.
I couldn't get on all 50 ballots. You put me on 50 ballots and I have a platform I can speak. But
Well,
if I have no chance of winning because I'm only on 16 ballots or 20 ballots statewide, national-wide.
so it was really ballot
It's
access
ballot
versus
access.
polling support
That's exactly
that would have
right.
benefited
I would have
Trump.
loved to have been able to sit and say, come on, Donald, do you really believe that? Is that true? Or Joe or Kamala or whatever. We had so many differences. But there's a way to basically people just want some normality. The chaos is just running people's lives today.
It is.
And when you look back in West Virginia and all other rural areas, I mean, the cost of living, the cost of groceries, the cost of doing everything, the energy, how you live your life is too high.
I mean, who are you getting financial support from? You have a background in the business community. Do you want more sort of small dollar donations? Like, how do you counter?
But
Some of
no,
these
you're right. It's David and Goliath's story for sure. But we think being strategic, we're not trying to get behind 20, 30 candidates. We're getting behind a handful, a few in Congress. If we could get 2 or 3 elected, think of what the difference that independent bloc can make, 1 or 2 in the Senate. So we've seen tremendous support actually. We'd like there to be more. I think the business community needs to lean in and not try to put their head in the sand and say, well, we hope this passes.
Yeah.
We need people to get engaged and participate and think it's going to be great for the country.
Thank you for sharing the initiative with both of us. We'll track how it does. We'll be right back.
We'll track how it does. I'm sure they will. But at the same time, their schemes and their manipulation tactics is still going to go on towards trying to deceive and manipulate the people. When is the people going to rise up and say enough is enough? When is the people going to have a true voice in what they determine, in who they want, what they want, when they want it? Is the answer to that never? Because of the manipulators, because of the conglomerates, because they know that if we, the people, ever did stand toe to toe in a reflection of what we're going through right now, that we would change policies, that we would change people, that we would change Congress, that we would actually do things a whole lot differently than preaching this message of war, 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 kill, kill, kill. Drill, drill, drill. And the more that we drill, the more that we're seeing the response on a global scale pertaining to these natural catastrophes that are happening, that are only intensifying. And even Christ said that it would be as a woman travailing with a child, as the birth of that child gets closer and closer, the birth pains will become harder and harder, and they'll become more frequent, more and more frequent, and that's what we're seeing right now before the actual end of time. And whenever the Father gets tired of this, whenever the Father decides that he's going to throw the towel in, then at that point in time, it won't matter what party, independent, Republic, Democrat, it'll be over. It'll be over. The same as it's been over for other cultures and other generations before us. And if we are not smart enough to identify that, then maybe we do deserve to walk off into the mouth of the volcano. Because apparently that's where they want us to go. Besides that, if they keep us frustrated, if they keep us in anguish, if they keep us second guessing ourselves, we won't be able to stay focused upon the things that we should be focused upon, which is actually going after these people that has caused this kind of a mess to begin with. Talk about the blind leading the blind. This has been going on now for quite some time, for years. I actually, and a lot of people agree with me, that ever since the assassination of JFK, that it was a breach from within Secret Service pertaining to them not doing their jobs. Ever since then, we have seen this government basically doing whatever that it wants to do to whoever that it wants to do it to. It's sad. We're in a sad state of affairs right now, and it's only getting worse.
For Face the Nation, I'm Margaret Brennan.
Margaret Brennan. Thank you for listening. Good luck to all of us. God bless America. God bless our troops. And God bless our endeavors towards which way we go from this moment on, because it couldn't be more crucialer on this particular day, the second day of August, basically the anniversary of my son getting killed is 20 days away, on the 22nd of August. Time does fly. Year 2026 is what year that we're in right now. So when people like me put out these videos, it's not necessarily that we're being totally ignored, but we're automatically in a category of, well, don't pay no attention to him or don't pay no attention to her, because we don't count anyway. And the reason why we don't count is because we're not on top of the top tier. And that is not what our ancestors come into agreement on years and years ago, and how that they was going to formulate a diplomatic republic. To where now those that can afford the best attorneys, those that can be out that kind of money, are the ones that get heard, and everybody else gets basically turned into a turd. I hate to say that, but I mean, as many videos and in many social stances that I put out, there's no doubt anybody that's been keeping up with me knows exactly how I think and why I think the things that I think. But once more, to see a movement even within the church corridor is not happening. So because I'm not seeing a united movement happening, either politically or spiritually, I think we're doomed. I think we've reached the point of no return. The genie's out of the bottle. We've crossed over the great divide. And even scientists right now. Scientists, if you get to looking at what they're saying, you know, it was hope. It was hope that we wouldn't meet that 2.5 or whatever it was, status quo pertaining to the earth heating up as little as a year ago. Much less what that they were saying to us 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. Well, now, watch them, the wording in what they're saying, and basically they're saying that we've done met that threshold, we've done exceeded that threshold to the degree now there's nothing left but doom and gloom. Now, whose fault is that? That's the fault falling upon the feet of we the people that has allowed these conglomerates, regardless whether it was oil tycoons or Walmarts or the stock market or Elon Musk or other big well-to-do people. This is basically making them unaccountable while we all have to take it on the cheek pertaining to walking off into the mouth of the volcano. Now, friends, you've heard me say this before, and I'm going to say this with love. If a true, born-again, authentic Christian does not love people pertaining to the safety and the concerns of all people, then they need to stop and evaluate whether or not they're truly authentic born-again Christians.
This remains an active and ongoing investigation. Our priority is to provide the most accurate information available, correct misinformation, direct victims, families, and witnesses and community members to the proper resources. We understand that there are many questions, and we will try to answer as many of those in time as we can. However, because some details cannot be released at this stage, and doing so would compromise our investigation. In review, yesterday at 2:29 p.m., multiple 911 calls were received by the Twin Falls City Communications Center. Dispatchers could hear screaming and reports of gunshots in the background. Officers from our department, along with officers from local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, all converged to the incident. Fire and medical personnel from the Twin Falls Fire Department and Magic Valley paramedics also responded. First responders faced what was described as one of the most chaotic instances a law enforcement officer can face in their career. Law enforcement began the search for the suspect, as well as assisting medical personnel to the scene safely and providing first aid and transporting those in need to our local hospital. Our department has been in constant contact with the In and Out management, and they are actively assisting us in the investigation. At this time, we can confirm that there are multiple victims. Based on the information currently available, there are 3 victims that are deceased. 7 others are injured. 2 of those patients have been treated and released. 3 are in stable condition, and 2 are in critical condition. These numbers are preliminary and may be updated as we continue to work with our medical providers.
So there's no doubt of the things that I'm talking about pertaining to safety issues. It's as obvious as the nose on somebody's face. We have reached a point of no return. And unless we go at this that way, regardless whether it be environmentally, regardless whether it be politically, regardless whether it be socially, regardless whether it be in whatever category that you want to put it in, it's only going to get worse. Which is what? The opposite of true agape peace. And that's been the thing that I've been fighting for ever since 9 cassette tapes wound up in the White House in 1988 pertaining to biblical Bible prophecy. Thanks again for listening. Good luck to all of us. God bless. Heaven help us all. Shalom.